Welcoming Jordan Johnson here to the program. RFA 39 is his next fight. Shaun Asher is his opponent, June 17th in Hammond, Indiana. It's actually just outside Chicago. It's like called Chicagoland or something. It's like a weird part of Indiana. So, anyway, how's training going? Of course, on your if you you look where you're fighting out of, it says MMA Lab, but that's not true anymore. You're over at Power now, right in Arizona.
Yep, I'm at Power. I started fighting out of the lab. I was at the lab for about 2 years, and then I got the opportunity to go train with Phil out at Alliance. So I spent about a year at Alliance training with Phil, and then Gus was out there, so training with them, just a lot of dudes coming in and out of that gym. And then I've been at Power for a little over a year now, and then I split time with Vitor down in South Florida as well. So.
Oh, you go all the way. So when you say you split time, how does the training camp work out then? Are you 4 weeks in Arizona and 4 weeks in South Florida, or are you week and a week? Like, how does it work out?
Vitor just brings me in for his fight camps. So when he's in fight camp, I'll come out, 8 weeks before his fight, give or take 2 weeks. So this last time I was out there for a little over 10 weeks. The Hendo camp, I was out there for 8 weeks. Weidman camp, I was out there for, a couple weeks. So basically whenever he's in camp, I go down there and help him get ready. But like my last fight, I had to double up and do my fight camp down there as well while he was doing his camp. So
how is that work out then for you? Because you're being brought in. I'm assuming he's giving you room, board, transportation, and money to come in and be his training partner. And then You've got training camp too as well. So like you're in the middle of trying to get prepared for a fight, but you also have a job of trying to get him prepared for a fight. So how does that training camp work when they get overlapped like that?
Like I'm there when Vitor brings me in, like I understand, like that's my job. I'm there to work for him. So I give him whatever he wants for me, whatever he has on the schedule, whatever my role is for the day, I do that. And then I gauge it off of, I look at how much work I put in, and then I compare it to, say, if I was here at the lab, or over here at Power, how much work I'd put in, if I was doing my training camp here, and then I get whatever extra I need afterwards. And, me and Vitor have a real good relationship. I give him, my best when I'm down there, and, he brings in really good coaches, and, he'll have his coaches work with me. Like, once we get done giving him his training, like I get my own training. So they'll help me out. I was down there. Our fights were a couple weeks apart, but, he had his strength and conditioning coach, Juan Carlos Santana, who's, a great coach. He put me on my own schedule. So he was, we separated those two things because, Vitor doesn't need me doing what he's doing for strength and conditioning. He needs me for wrestling. So he, let me have my own strength and conditioning program while I was down there. So
do you miss wrestling at all? Like, do you wake up sometimes and see like the World Cup's getting ready to go to LA and the Olympics are coming up and all that stuff? You miss it, especially now being around a bunch of former wrestlers that are all they've all moved into MMA, but still, I know Simpson misses it sometimes, even though he's out of fighting now, but he still misses wrestling sometimes. So.
Yeah, I miss wrestling. Wrestling's, I wish, I look back at my wrestling career and I wish I would have done better and done some things differently. So, there's some regret. But, I think everyone who's wrestled has regret about their career. Like guys win world titles and are still salty because they didn't win, the last world, championship they wrestled in.
Yeah, Sammy Henson took second, and he's, and he's still like, I could have won it. You could have been the medal, could have been the gold guy, but. And so it's like some guys, you're right, some guys will be, silver medalists in the Worlds or silver medalists in the Olympics, and they're still like, I could have been gold if I had just done one more thing or one more rep. Or yeah.
We have, our Thursdays here is like a college wrestling room with a bunch of killers. Like, everyone I work out with was a badass college wrestler, so on Thursdays it's like being back in college. So I get it, I get excited going into it, and then I get done. I'm like, wow, I can't believe I did that for that long, day in and day out. So
I know, right? It's such a different body mechanic. Like, how the hell did I pull this off? Like 2 days of doing this? This is crazy. Like, it makes no sense.
Yeah,
it definitely like Thursdays here in Hawaii is wrestling practice too over at Gracie Technics, and I get in there, and you get some young kids from high school. They're like a bunch of headbangers, and you're like, my neck and shoulders can't handle this stuff anymore, man. I'm an old guy. Like, why are you beating me like this? This makes no sense. So I spend a lot of time now, like Gable style, where I grab their right wrist and I just hold on and suck myself in and don't let them, because they can't club you in the head if you got their arm. So I just keep climbing up their arm, and then when they get away, I hunch her in and get back with their arm and hold on to it again, just to save my head. Like, I'm trying not to get banged in the neck so much anymore.
Yeah, and that's how it is too. Some younger guys come in here, and I'll leave on certain days, like hell, like I'm the man, and then a younger kid comes in, and it's like, fuck that. I don't ever I can't compete. I can't wrestle. I can do MMA wrestling now, but young dudes come in and give you hell.
Put a guy against the wall and hold him there for a while. Like, I'm really tired. I was gonna lean on you. I was gonna hold you here. Like, we're not moving. Good luck trying to get out. We're just gonna stay right here. So yeah, I get it. So we got to talk about Shaun. Obviously, Thursdays great wrestling days, and so you're keeping that wrestling base, which I think if you come from wrestling, you need to have that wrestling base in your camp. So obviously, Power MMA is the spot on Thursdays. But what else is going on? Are you having to do in your other days, the other practices, to get ready for Shaun? Like, how does he approach you as an opponent?
I'm not doing anything different to get ready for him. We do everything here. I'm same approach I take to every fight. Like, I'm not really worried about him so much. I'm just concerned, doing what I need to do to be the best me. So,
and but every fighter always tries to get that 1% extra out of that training camp. Like, the next training camp, I want to get 1% better or 2% better. And the new guys, of course, you're at 4-0 for pro MMA, but obviously you've had like 1,200 wrestling matches throughout your history, right? So it's like you've been in a lot of competition. Most guys early in their career are like, no, I want to get 10% better, I want to get 15% better, so they get frustrated with training camp because they're not getting as much better as they thought they should. The reality of it is, every training camp you get about 1% better. So what's the one thing that you kind of had to tweak a little bit or adjust a little bit this training camp to get prepared for Shaun? Now, not necessarily you're having to do it for Shaun. It might be something that that you've got to do to get better because you need to be a better athlete. But what is that one thing that you kind of did that you tweaked? Not necessarily change the whole thing or change camps, whatever, but like a little, doing more mitts, spending more time wrestling, making sure you get more rounds with Bader, making sure you get more rounds in, on a bike. Like, what's your 1% thing?
I don't think I really can say that I work hard, man. I've worked hard in every camp, all my amateur fights. I work super hard. I didn't really write down one thing, and be like, this is the thing I need to do for this camp. I mean, there's little things you get, I think, just as I'm going through my career, like, maybe stretching a little bit more or, paying attention to my body a little bit more, working on some movement stuff. I don't know, man. I think in combat sports with like wrestling, you're constantly trying to get better. So it's not really like I'm trying to get better at everything. I'm not trying to, I didn't pick one thing. I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to work on my double leg this camp, or oh, I'm going to work on, like, every day I'm going in. I'm always working on improving everything. So. And
then it adjusts throughout camp, because one day you walk in there and your jab is working great, and the next day you walk in there and your jab isn't working at all. So you're like, well, crap, I go back to working my jab again. So it does adjust throughout training camp as well, depending on what happens and who the partners are and stuff. So yeah, but it's a lot of competitors, a lot of fighters are like, nope, this training camp I work more on my foot motion, I work more on my strength and conditioning, or I work more, whatever. So everyone's got like that one little thing. You're a little bit more well-rounded, and with your extensive amateur wrestling career, it makes it a little bit easier for you to walk in and go, okay, today I got to work on this because this is what I just got taken down with. So I got to work on my sprawl or whatever. So you adjust throughout the day.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. He's 11-2, Shaun is. You're 4-0, like I said earlier. How do you see this fight, though? Is this a step up? Is this a lateral move in competition? Is he below you in competition? How do you see him as an opponent?
Looking at the record, I think it's a good matchup. I think he's had a few opportunities to, get out of fighting small shows, and he blew them. Me and him are both looking to move up. The difference is he's had those opportunities and he blew them, and he's 36 years old. I'm young. This is my, a step on paper. This is, my step up in opponents, but I'm getting in there to, beat the hell out of this dude, and I think I'm going to. So I think you look at it. I looked at his record. He's got a bunch of TKOs, and so I see that, and they're early TKOs. I mean, so that doesn't impress me. First round finishes with the TKO. What's the skill set in that? What's he doing? He's getting in there, and he's taking people down, and he's punching them a bunch. That's not. I mean, he's not going to take me down, punch me a bunch. That's not going to happen. I don't think he has the skill set to beat me. He doesn't have the skill set to beat me. So
the way I look at it, I look at both records. I look at both opponent sets. The way I look at it is that this is a step up on paper for you, because he's got a lot more matches. He's got a bigger name within the fight game. Obviously, he's older. He's been on the cusp of getting brought up to the big show. So it's a step up of competition on paper. But the reality of it is that you're a much better competitor when it comes to actual fight night. So for promoters and for matchmakers, this looks great when you beat him. But then when it comes into actually how's it relate, you're a better MMA wrestler. You have his striking game is a little bit more accurate, but yours is a lot more powerful. So what you lose in accuracy of getting around gloves and finding the sweet spot, you can punch him through the gloves and knock him down. Like you can literally block and get knocked down because you hit him so hard. You've got great takedown defense, obviously, and then once you get on top, your ground and pound is pretty devastating. So it's like when I'm looking at this game. That you're far superior as an athlete. You're far superior as a fighter, even though you're only 4-0. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I really think this one's going to be a big eye opener for a lot of matchmakers, a lot of promoters. Look at it and go, oh wow, we got to start looking at Jordan now. We really got to start paying attention to him if they don't grab you right after this fight and pull you up. Like it's going to come pretty soon, especially when you start getting towards 7-0, 8-0. They're not going to have a choice when they start seeing a guy like that. That is stepping up in competition every time on paper and beating these guys. It's like, okay, we got to start looking at this guy to bring him through. So it's coming soon. So have you looked at how the sport is progressing now? It's becoming more about entertainment than it is really about competition, which is totally different than college wrestling. They don't care about your entertainment value. They only care, are you gonna get the victory or not? Come Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights. That's all they are worrying about. In MMA now, it's more entertainment. It's more about how much can you sell a fight. Do you feel like that might be something you have to work on, or something that you're gonna have to like grab a hold of to accelerate your career here in a little bit?
Yes, that's definitely something I need to work on, and it's something, right now I don't know how important it is for my career, because it's right now I just need to keep getting these wins, and that's most important. I mean, the most important thing always is, winning the fight. You win your next fight, you're good. You win the next fight, you're good. But if you can sell the next fight and get people interested and entertained, then you're gonna make more money. And at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. But it's something I think about, and I'm selling the fight, and coming from the wrestling background, it's real. A real humble sport. You just kind of, you work hard, you show up, weigh in, go out there, slap the dude's hand, wrestle, get off the mat, and that's it. There's no, maybe you might get a little interview afterwards, like, and you're like, yeah, he's a tough dude. It was a hard match. I'm gonna go get ready for the next one. You walk off. Like, that's not MMA. So
yeah, no. And then like think about like the biggest amount of fans you're gonna have watching you is like Carver Hawkeye Arena for University of Iowa. So you go to like Minnesota, Penn State. They're getting numbers now too, obviously, because the championship runs that they've been on. But then you go to like Cal State Fresno or Syracuse, which no longer has a program. You're like 50 people in the stands.
Yeah.
It's super humbling when you're like, well, I'm like I'm an All-American, and there's only 50 people here to watch me compete. Like this is not good. But yeah, so wrestling is a real humbling sport, and it really checks your ego every day. So it's tough coming from that. Don't oversell yourself. Don't overhype yourself. Show up. Do your job. Get the extra points when you can. Get the pin when you can. Get off, but always get the victory and get off the mat. To, hey, you can talk yourself into a title fight. You can literally talk yourself into a title fight just by having enough fans want to see that fight. So it's the game is different. It's tough, and the guys you're with are very humble too. They're not talkers, so it's not like you're getting any lessons every day in there. They're all about work, hard work, dedication. Touching fists, punching a guy in the face, loser buys the beer. That's all it's all about, So it's you're in a tough spot because you have the ability, you have the excitability to make it big, but your personality is, I just want to go and win, and then go home and do my thing. That's all I want to do. I just want to win and go home and kind of be left alone. So you're gonna find yourself in that middle, like, man, I got to start trash talking. I gotta start making stuff up, and it's gonna be tough for you. It's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
You'll find a way around it. It always happens,
Just gotta start squawking, just talking. What?
Don't do it if it doesn't fit your personality, because it comes off fake, and that's even worse. Like, you got to make it fit you.
Yeah.
All right, Jordan. Thanks so much for coming on here, man. I really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your training camp. Good luck against Shaun. Come up here on June 17th, RFA 39.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for having me on. Thank you. So.